what the fuck does this have to do with Epiphone guitars? Okay, so anyway, I played the Yamaphone guitar at 10, and then I took a couple years of classical, and that gave me one very good important tip, which was, don't put your thumb here, because this cigarette-smoking hippie guitar teacher I had would hit me on the thumb, no shit, like 1978 or whatever, would hit me on the thumb if I didn't put, his name was Dave Johnson from Ottawa, Canada. He's a motherfucker. If I ever see him again, I'm gonna break his thumb. But, you put, did I take my medication? Allergy medication. Let me see. So he taught me, don't put your thumb here or you get beaten. So you put your thumb back and watch what happens to you. Well, for those of you who don't know this and want to know, when you play like this, like the rock guys, which is good for slower music, when you want to go really fast, and use this finger, which you're supposed to, you can't really do anything with it. You can't stretch if your thumb's here, but watch what happens to the stretching when you go bang. So that's a big difference. Isn't that cool? Jeff Waters showed you how to stretch. We're getting to this, guys. We're getting to what you're talking about soon. Okay, so I learned that from classical, and then I moved on to Kiss, a band called Sweet. You ever hear of them? Yeah. Ballroom Blitz? Nah, you guys are too young. That's a compliment. You're supposed to love me even more now. Thanks. Let me see. Sweet. Kiss Alive 2 was the first one I heard. It was awesome. Ace Frehley wasn't on most of the album. It's too bad. Aerosmith Rocks and all this shit. So I was like AC/DC, Kiss, Van Halen, of course. Whatever, hammer-ons. I invented those. He stole them. When I was 7, I was doing them. So what happened next? I fell on my head, and that's why I am the way I am right now. I'm just trying to think. It's difficult for me. Venom? Yeah, we'll get there. Hey, you've been watching YouTube. I'm doing the same rap every night about Dutch steak is the best. Dutch broccoli is awesome. Yamaphone. So it went from actually heavy metal. When I was a kid, heavy metal was AC/DC, Kiss, and Van Halen. That was called heavy metal back then. Now we see heavy metal as Maiden, Priest, all that stuff. Yeah. Judas Priest, you know who they're? Yeah. Fucking hey. Awesome. We toured here in 1991 with Judas Priest. I knew you'd do that. Thank you. I'll pay you later. Okay, what happened here? So I heard the heavy metal and rock stuff, and then all of a sudden, like somebody gave away, a friend of mine brings this satanic album cover over and says, you gotta fucking hear this shit. And I go, what is it? Venom! And I was like, okay. Put it on and scared the shit out of me. I went to bed thinking demons and devils were gonna eat me or something. And once you listen to that stuff as a kid, you're on your way to hell. And when you're on your way to hell, guess who you meet on the way? Slayer. So I was hooked. Slayer, and then early Metallica albums, early Exodus, who? Early Anthrax, Razor Anvil Exciter, who? Fucking Megadeth. Of course, fucking right. Killing is my business. That was the, it's not really my business. I play guitar and do clinics, but it's Dave Mustaine's album in case you non-metalheads didn't know that. Or you only know B-cells, but who's buying? He had some awesome shit before that too. Shit means good stuff, by the way, just so you know. Rest in peace, yeah. Okay, back to stop being a fanboy. So anyway, Annihilator's music and my guitar playing is based on rock and heavy metal, meeting thrash metal of the 80s. So, when I was fortunate enough to stumble upon this small young upstart company named Epiphone, they offered me the chance and the honor to do a signature guitar. Now, I've been playing for a while, I have a nice guitar collection, but I've never had a guitar made for me that sells in the music stores. 20-something years into my career putting out records. So when they talked to me, I was honored, but I was thinking, well, I don't want to make a 3,000 euro guitar. I mean, I have many of those at home. I can play if I want, but I liked, guitar players that would offer a high-quality guitar, but something that a kid, a 17-year-old could afford to play. So I said, I would love to do an Epiphone, and if you could keep the price down, but the quality has to be up. I'd like to be able to play it live and in the studio, the same guitar that you would buy in a music store. And they said, yeah, no problem, no problem. And then after about a year and a half of arguing and fighting over email, trying to keep, their job is to, they're in a business, and their business is to supply great, instruments to musicians, also to make money. And so they had to watch their costs when they were building these things. But I wanted the best that I could possibly get. So it took a long time to put together. And I'm going to start with the price before I even talk about the guitar, because I think the price is ridiculously low, and it's a bonus to anybody who plays heavy metal or thrash music, and you can't afford $1,000 or $2,000 Lexi Mayho model or whatever the heck it is. This is less than €500. And yeah, it is a big deal to me, because I don't have a signature $3,000 Gibson model, which would be cool, but I'm fine with these. But it means most anybody can afford to get this thing. Now, when I was talking about the influences that I had, the thrash stuff later on, it was for rhythm guitar, my heroes were, and still are, James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett, and did I say Kirk Hammett? He's the lead guy. That's the lead guy. James Hetfield, Kerry King, and Jeff Hanneman, and Gary Holt from Exodus. So the two in the middle were the Slayer guys. And they were just brilliant. Now, today, there's players that pick much faster and sometimes much tighter than those guys, but they originated it. They invented the fast and the tight start, stop, fast picking. They invented that stuff. So that's what I grew up on, and that's what I wanted to have in this guitar, was when you do the gong, 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 it had to have that chunk of a Metallica, but it had to have the speed picking of Exodus and Slayer in there. So part of the way you get that is your pick is a big thing. If the pick's too hard, the strings just bounce around, sound like shit. If it's too light, it bends. So I use a 1mm Dunlop, but a big thing is the pickups. Now, these aren't Epiphone pickups, they're Gibson USA wound pickups, and they're kind of high gain, but not too much. A lot of players, modern players, they like the EMGs and the really dirty, digitally distorted, crackly pickups. I'm from the older school where Gibson and Seymour Duncan pickups rule, which is, the Judas Priest, the Appetite for Destruction, Maiden, early, everybody. I mean, all the great metal bands were using the less output stuff. And if you want more distortion, you get it from your amplifier or a pedal. But these are not super hot pickups. These are perfect for capturing the picking style. An exercise that I do to warm up, to practice picking. Does anybody know, you guys don't because you can't hear me, I'm just joking. Chemical Warfare by Slayer, you heard that one? Yeah, it's an old, people say, how do you get your picking? Well, start out with that song. I think they go, let me see if I can do it. Probably can't do it now. But it goes, do that for like 2 minutes, and it's pretty good. But if you do that, what I did as a kid is I sat there and played that, and then I learned how to get faster and faster and slowly. So I can't do it now. But that is a very good exercise. You saw that, did you? It's a very good... Oh yeah, there's a fucking light on me and you're all looking at me. Of course you're going to see it. But that's a very good song intro to learn your picking. So the left hand was important for a different reason. The left hand was more of the squealers. The guys like, younger people will know them as Zakk Wylde, Dimebag. But where Zakk and Dime got it from was Jeff Waters. Jakey Lee, Aussie guitar player before Zakk. Before that, Van Halen and Glenn Tipton from Judas Priest. Van Halen was squealing, Randy Rhoads, he would do it. So I wanted this guitar to be a squealer, which means, if I can do it. watching. If you turn your heads, I can play it good. But, you know the squeals, I mean, those high little bird sounds, you know? So the only way, apparently, to get that would be to be really good or to have a really hard neck surface. In come the notes. Ebonol, the material on the neck is like a bowling ball. You know what I mean? And that means when it's very live, so when you hit it, it's like an Angus Young kind of style where it's messy, you know, it's just a little sloppy. It's not perfect like a really expensive, different type of wood neck. This is more a metal, squealing neck. You got my point, right? Okay, I'm gonna read from this. It's mahogany neck. It's a mahogany body for warmth and sustain, which I like. Let me see. 24 frets. So you can play higher than the guys with 20-something frets. 21? What does the normal guitar have? Les Paul? 22? I knew that. It's got a graphite nut, which I think is good. Pickups, custom wound for me, awesome. Electronics are good. It's got a kill switch, which is good. I didn't invent that. This was here before with Epiphone, but it's a handy little thing when you want to do the There's that squeal I was talking about. So it's got a kill switch. It's that little button there. Very simple, doesn't have tone controls and all that stuff. It's just one volume knob because when you're playing this fast stuff, you don't have time to look down there and play with knobs. What? What are you laughing for? Also, the cool thing is lock tone tune-o-matic stop bar. I call that, you take off the strings to change the strings and it doesn't fall onto your floor and make a big mess and fuck your guitar up. So when you take the strings off here, it stays exactly where you had it when the strings were on, and that's a very important thing because you work hard to set this guitar up. Once it's set up and the neck is adjusted, it doesn't move. If you take it on a tour bus or if it's under a plane or sitting in your basement or something, you just give it an hour or an hour and a half and the neck goes right back to where it was when you had it. Whereas some of the other guitars I have, you have to keep them climate controlled. They have to be in a certain humidity and temperature, otherwise the neck goes, you know. So this is very road-worthy guitar. And that's not in my notes, I just made that up tonight. Seriously, oh yeah, it comes in black and red, pink. No, red, right? There's the pink one coming out. I'll promote it. Okay, last thing. Did I cover everything on this? Or have they left? No, it's there's an inlay on here. It's a very interesting story that happened after that. This is a logo symbol of from our 2001 album called Carnival Diablos. Yeah, just wait till you hear the story. So I get the guitar, the prototype, with this cool Annihilator. Devil, he's a devil. Red, cool metal logo. Devils are always good. Always works. And my German girlfriend goes, "Why do you have a naked man on your guitar?" If you add that up to anal eater, it doesn't look good for me. So that's where I'm going to stop talking and I think take some questions again and play a few songs. Good? Questions? What's the weather like in Canada? Do you know my aunt? She lives in Canada too. Oh yeah, where? Oh, Vancouver. Canada's pretty big, you know. Unless you ask me some good questions, I'm going to talk about stupid things. Come on, give me something.
The fret wire.
Oh, how am I supposed to know that? Fret wire? I don't even know what that is.
The frets are the large, small ones.
Jim?
Medium jumbo.
Medium jumbo. You know what really happened? I told Jim, or Ulf, it was Ulf, a guy in Berlin, and Jim, what I liked. And I think they realized this guy doesn't have a clue about the technical stuff. So they go, I think I know what he's talking about with these bird squeals and these tight picking stuff. And they sent me a guitar back and I went, fuck, that's good.